Councilwoman, thanks for joining us here. First question is, how much of this $50 million from the state is Houston, the city, going to actually get? Do you know yet?
It sounds like I don't have a set number, but it sounds like from what the mayor said yesterday, it will be for our portion of the debris removal. And that'll be about $32 million.
And looking at the math, sorry to interrupt there, but looking at the math, that still leaves several million dollars unaccounted for, something the city's going to have to make up. Is that right?
Right, and the mayor has told us that he has audits going on. Ernst and Young has an audit going on and looking for efficiencies throughout the city. And he assures us he's going to be able to come up with that gap through the efficiencies and things that are found through that audit and other means.
Yeah, Mayor Whitmire does want to see if he can find waste in the city. Do you think he's going to find some? You've been around City Hall for a minute. I don't want to date you there, but you know what the budget looks like.
Right, and that was a big thing for me because I do know that we're facing a $230 million shortfall in January, not just from the storms. I mean, we needed to come up with our share of the storms, and the $32 million, let me be clear, is just the city's 25% of general fund money that we've had to spend. We'll get reimbursed for 75% of it. The total expense we project from the derecho and Beryl will be about $211 million. So this $32 million is just a piece of what we will have to pay ourselves for debris cleanup. There's other categories of spending that we'll have to do for the derecho and Beryl, but that's what the state's going to help us with, and that was the bulk of it. As far as waste and abuse, I know he's looking into the tax increment reinvestment zones very closely. We just passed some money to have Ernst & Young do forensic accounting on some of these TERSs to see where the spending is. I mean, I don't think I sure as heck hope there's not widespread abuse and fraud. I don't think there is. But you know, I'm prepared to listen to whatever they come up with. But we scrutinize the city's budget for sure, and we've scrutinized TERS budgets, and you know, when they come to council, we scrutinize all of that. So we'll see what they come up with.
It won't be the first time that you guys have looked closely at those budgets there. Just to make sure I'm clear. To make sure I'm clear, with the state money that comes in here, how much does that leave Houston on the table to have to spend for this cleanup?
So the general fund portion, which is what we've been focused on, the ad valorem, property tax, and sales tax supported budget, will have to come up with 40 million. So if we get 32 million from the state, it'll leave us a gap of $8 million, which again, he says we can find with efficiencies and other things. The rest of the cleanup can be handled by the enterprise zones, which pay for themselves, the airports, public works.
Do you think there's $8 million in the budget that can be found to waste or fraud or anything else like that?
I don't necessarily think it's waste and fraud at $8 million. I think it's going to be things like vacancies that haven't been filled, eliminating vacancies. We eliminated a bunch of those in the, when we post a job or we have the department say, I need 5 more people for this department, but it's dragged on for a long time. Like they haven't filled those positions for like a year. I think those kind of things will be wiped clean. The mayor said yesterday he will not be cutting any essential services to come up with that extra money.
Council member, what are you hearing from your constituents about all this?
Well, I've heard a lot about, we want to make sure the city is spending wisely. I think the mayor is smart he says he wants to look the taxpayers in the eye and say, I have looked under every rock. I have trimmed the budget as much as I possibly can. And I think that's smart but I think eventually we will have to get help on the revenue side of this equation. And that's why some of my colleagues and I put forth a measure to increase slightly the tax rate. Luckily, we didn't have to do that because of the Hail Mary from the state. But I am concerned about, we're talking about the disaster expenses, but I'm concerned about long-term, the budget gaps, the contractual obligations for which each of the employee unions, the need for more police, the need for more fire, the fact that our tax rate is 20 cents lower than Dallas's, and they have a similar property valuation. So there's a lot to consider. We have a lot to do. And I think eventually, and the mayor has admitted, eventually he'll be having to look at additional revenues for the city.
And do you think that's additional revenues, or are there any places to cut?
Oh, I think there'll be places to cut. I think we'll continue this road. I think we have to do it all. It's not cut or raise revenues, in my opinion, to meet all of our needs on infrastructure, on public safety. We're going to have to do both.
We're still in hurricane season, as you well know, there in Houston. We watched, obviously, Hurricane Milton hit Florida, but how much is the city still exposed to, potential costs here? If, hurricane season
Right.
goes through what, November 30th?
Right. And every time we hear about these storms, we panic. I mean, we keep about $25 million in a, rainy day fund. That's never even close to what we need. So, it's something to be very concerned about because, we have to come up with the 25% ourselves. Luckily, the state pitched in this year, and that the state pitched in Harvey. So I hope that that's going to be, the state has more money than we do. So I hope that that's going to be an ongoing practice, and that we will get some help from the state.
Well, one more question for you on all this. How confident are you that taxes will not have to be raised in the end to make up for this $8 million?
No, I'm very confident. We have to set the rate by October 28th. This is the rate we're going to set. There'll be a public hearing on it next week, and we'll set it by the end of the month. There will be no tax raise now to handle the derecho cost and barrel costs.
Councilwoman, we appreciate the time. Thank you very much.
Sure. Thank you.